Hello, the clouds. A very simple technique I learned from another book, which is an interesting story. Hello, the clouds is about working on your telepathy and talking to ETs, other beings that are in the clouds. Not necessarily ETs. Keep in mind, some of these beings live below us. Some of them are more advanced than us and live below us and have technology to rise into our skies. Hello, the clouds is something I learned in another book called Inviting ET. I don't remember the author offhand. It's a very simple book, very thin, 40 pages maybe, I don't remember. Very quick read. And I remember it has a Zeta right on the cover, some sort of Zeta. And this book helped me in a time when I was experiencing and not sure how to connect necessarily. I wasn't reading a whole lot of ET books. I had started researching again, and research is something I had put off for a long time because of fear around it, fear of the memories I was having about being taken and experiencing, and then also because of this aspect where I had lost everything because of the work I did. I had lost a lot of people. I had lost a lot of trust in what I did, and the experiences in that a lot of times just brought me a lot of pushback. You're crazy, you're schizophrenic, you're XYZ. So I stopped when I was about 25 and picked it back up. I don't remember when, 2018 maybe, a little bit. Now it's closer to the pandemic. Must have been 2019, maybe 2020. I think it was more 2020 when I started researching again and understanding that my experiences were actually real. Really understanding my experiences were the actual thing, that I was seeing ETs, I was seeing beings that were not from here, and I was labeling them in a box called Fae because I never expected them to be from space. I never expected them to be from other worlds. So I just went, oh, that's like a Fae god or goddess. If you've heard me talk about the Arturians standing at the bed of the hotel in my hotel room one of the first times I saw them, me just thinking, oh, that's a nature god or goddess. I didn't ask them who they were, so they never clarified it, and I probably wasn't ready at the time either. But later on, I found out it was all real. I was reading Whitley Strieber books, which are so phenomenally close to a lot of what I experience. And I read like one or two of his books when I started. Then I read some Artie Six Killer Clark books, which were activating me and actually bringing me more ET beings as they were activating me. I think one of them is called Sky People and Space Age Indians, something like that. They are about indigenous people and their experiences with ETs, and a lot of it is benevolent stories. A lot of them are benevolent stories, not malevolent, which was what I was looking for, because I just don't like stories about fear around them, because it's not my experience at all. And I know there are those out there like that, but as I've said before, fearful stories. So I picked up these books, and I was on Amazon, scrolling around because my guide said, sit down, we want you to buy a book. And this book pops up, Inviting ET. And I looked at the cover and I'm like, I don't know. And I passed it by, and they went, no, buy that book. I passed it by and I looked through some others, but I could not find anything I wanted. So then I went back and I went, okay, click, bought it. read it. Very short book with some very good information in it. It was a lot of stuff I knew, but the one thing I didn't know and was trying to figure out was how to connect with ships, how to connect more with them. So like they went through a lot of the things I talk about, going into nature, sitting down, inviting benevolent beings, being protected, all those sorts of things. But this was the one that I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. This actually works. The idea is you just sit down, you look up at the clouds, you get into a meditative space, you breathe in deeply, 1, 2, 3, in through your nose, out through your breath. 3 times. At least that's how I do it, just to center myself very easily, relax myself. You look up at the clouds and you just say, hello, the clouds, and imagine that energy from you going up into the clouds, from your third eye going up into the clouds, from your voice. Just say, hello, the clouds, and see if anything happens. That's it. Now, I developed it a little bit more as I practiced it. You'd say, hello, the clouds, and you might actually see a cloud shift shape into an animal, into something else. It's very cool to see. While, maybe they're not moving much at all. Maybe they're moving very slow and gentle, and then a cloud suddenly just reconfigures itself into something because it's understanding you're telepathically trying to communicate. So I talk about the cloud parade in one of my books. I don't remember which book, but there was a cloud parade where I did this. And at the time, I thought it was sylphs. I thought they were air spirits because I still hadn't really trusted that it would be something else. And I said, hello, the clouds. And then for 15, 20 minutes, I watched a parade of clouds go by, and they were shifting every single one into an animal, a heart, gods, into all these different shapes. And I could feel them and hear them having fun with it. And the ships were shifting the clouds to show me they were there. So it's a very simple telepathic exercise. It takes trust and just feeling, sending that information up there. Hello, the clouds. That's it. That's all you do. Sit there with a cup of tea, drink a cup of tea. If you're still drinking coffee, which I'll get into that in my vibrational stuff with food, drinking a cup of coffee is fine. Wherever you're at vibrationally. The exercise is just that. Hello, the clouds. Now, for me, I'm to a point where I actually ping my energy up to the clouds. I will imagine myself pinging that energy in the sky and feeling and being like, is there anything? And I'll say, is there anything up there? Is there anybody up there? I close my eyes for a minute, just feel with my energy. And I'll often feel it moving like this, moving around, or radar sense, however you want to perceive it. But let's just say it's moving like this through the sky as I'm like, anything up there? And then it goes donk and hits a ship and stops. And I'm like, oh, there's a ship there. And I'll look, and sure enough, there'll be a ship there. There will be a cloud shaped like a ship, or there will be some sort of energy there, and that sort of thing. I haven't seen too many ships physically visible in the eastern side of the states. West, southwest, they're all over the place, flying around. I don't really understand why, other than there's not as many people. It's probably the only thing. And then I've had them before where I'm like, oh, maybe not. And then like one day I was doing that, and there was a ship around, and they were like, oh, we're here. Because I think I had said I hadn't seen a ship for a while. And I saw 6 great horned owls. Different areas. There'd be one, And I could hear them all talking to each other. So I knew there were multiples. It wasn't like one following me. But there was one, and then I walk like around the block. There's another one over here that's talking to that one. I walk into town, and there's like one on a telephone pole, one on a dead tree. And they had sent the owls to me. Telepathically had brought the owls in to be like, oh no, we are here. Do not doubt yourself. So you can have those types of experiences. But not only that, a lot of the ETs I've worked with, I've met, are because, hello, the clouds. Because I've telepathically reached out and said, hi, who are you? And when I have met beings who I'm like, oh, they feel like they have benevolent energy, you know, we talk for a second. They're like, where do you live? I tell them. They show up. They show up astrally. One showed up physically once. I was on a mountain. I could feel the ship above the clouds. It was like one of those ones where the clouds are so thick they look solid, but I could feel it flying above them. And I remember just being like, oh, I know somebody's up there. And I just went, if you can figure out where I live, you're more than welcome to come. It's like 3-4 days later, that's the experience where this short human-like being was in my apartment. And it's the one, if you watch those experiences, it's the one where there was a tray on my fridge and the door had been opened and the tray fell down and woke me and the cats all up. And we were walking around like, how did that happen? And they left a smiley face of thread, I think, on the garbage can or something. It was one of those things. So they will come if you ask them to come, if you're doing that and you feel them. But be aware that if you invite them, you're giving them permission to come. And so you do want to make sure that you are comfortable with that you truly aren't afraid, and that they are of benevolence too, that you can feel that benevolence connection. But that is one of the simplest tricks. It is also how I got into contact with so many beings, just sitting on the porch and being like, hello, the clouds, telepathically wondering, you know, reading a book and being like, the one day I was reading about blue men, these big orbs of energy who manifest as these blue men that walk out. I still don't understand if they are truly energetic beings or if the energy is actually their ship and our perception of it. Could be either or. But their energy is very, very, very high vibrational, extremely high vibrational, which makes me think they probably are shifting density to come out, because they're always, the way I've read them, they're described as having an orb and they step out of the orb and it's like they're part of the orb and then they step back in and disappear type of thing, almost as if they're shifting part of their density to become physical here. So they come, or not come, I'm reading about them and I go, and this is where a lot of people will think, well, you read a book. Remember, books are activations, downloads, and telepathic forms of connection. Reading a book, reading my books is activating, extremely activating for people. And so the books are on, we have sunlight. Thank you, sun. For the little bit of sun I get, I'm always very thankful for it. But we have books that are activations and downloads and telepathic connections. So you read them and you might actually be activated or be connected to something that way. So I sat on the porch and I remember thinking, I wonder if I'll ever see a blue man. And then I don't remember if I heard in time or something like that, but I remember going back in and I would take a nap. Whatever time of day this was, I would take a nap shortly after. So I went in and I laid down to take a nap. And I felt an energy come in the apartment, and I could see it with my third eye. I could see, when you see with your third eye, you can also experience seeing like through walls energetically and stuff, which is really cool and kind of like remote viewing and that. So I could see it moving into the house, and it moved into the dining room where I had put an offering out, probably of honey and oats or something like that. I'd put an offering out, and I was like kind of excited, going, oh, maybe I'll go talk to it. And then my guys went, no, just stay there. And I didn't understand why. And I watched this orb in my third eye, and I watched it manifest into a man. And then the man was just looking at the offering, and I could see him like pulling some of the energy away. And I went, oh, that's pretty cool. And then they just went, just go back to sleep. Don't worry about it. Let him be. I went, okay, trust them. I always trust them. Went back to sleep. And that was the experience. Now I know why they told me not to go in that room. The vibration was so high, I was not ready for that vibration. I could feel him in my bedroom, but he was another room away. And the vibration was so high, it was like, don't go out there, because you're probably going to be very, very afraid when you feel this high energy. I did not understand that at the time. So that's something to think about. You can read something, you can see something, you can be energetically connected to something through that telepathy. And if you're just sitting there watching the sky and wondering and thinking about it, that energy is going out into the universe. If you're not keeping it grounded within you and that sort of thing. And if you're using that phrase, hello, the clouds, they're going to hear you. They are going to hear you. They may not come right away. They do monitor and they do measure your vibration, and they do look at you. I've had them come specifically to me and me go, why did you randomly come? Like, how did you find me? We saw your glow. Those are the words they generally use. We saw you glow. You glow because your vibration is so high, which lets them know that they can come to you safely and that they can come to somebody who is a safe space and ready. But if your vibration is low and you're saying hello the clouds and you're also drinking alcohol, they're probably not going to come to you. At least not, those of the highest benevolence, highest good type of thing that don't want you to be afraid, because that puts you in being in a low vibrational state with them around. It's not benevolent or beneficial to you because of the fear and other things that happen with lower vibrations, which is why it's important to work on your vibration. But that is a simple technique you can use. Hello, the clouds. That's it. Take that with you. Give it a try. If you're meditating and you're sitting outside and you think you see a cloud that's shaped like a ship, or you think you see something that's off, just say hello the clouds, focus your mind, and see if you hear anything. See if the clouds shift into anything. See what happens. Maybe you'll experience something. Very basic tool, and one I still use to this day, although I don't say hello the clouds anymore. I started that way, which is why I teach it that way. Now, I simply just have a conversation, because you get to a point where your telepathy is so strong, it's just like, is there something up there? Ping, like I said before. But if you're starting out, use that phrase. Very simple. Thank you for watching. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you all.